Ethan Walker was the kind of student no one really noticed. He wasn't bullied, but he wasn't popular either. He existed somewhere in between, like background noise in a crowded hallway. He wore simple clothes every day, usually a plain hoodie, worn-out jeans, and sneakers that had clearly seen better days. His head was often slightly lowered, and his focus stayed on his books or his phone. People passed by him without a second glance. But what no one knew was that Ethan was far from ordinary. He came from a wealthy family, the kind of wealth that most students in that school could only dream of. His father owned multiple businesses, and Ethan had access to a life of luxury. Expensive cars, high-end lifestyle, connections, he had it all. Yet, he chose to hide it. Why? Because he wanted something real. He wanted people to like him for who he was, not for what he had. Then there was Chloe, his girlfriend. She was beautiful, confident, and popular. Being with her made Ethan feel like maybe, just maybe, someone truly saw him. But there was always something about Chloe that made him uneasy. She loved attention. She admired status. And sometimes, Ethan wondered if he was enough for her. Still, he ignored that feeling. Until the day everything changed. Jason Blake was everything Ethan wasn't, at least on the surface. He was tall, athletic, effortlessly confident, and always surrounded by people. He walked through the school like he owned it, and in many ways, it felt like he did. Students admired him, teachers respected him, and girls were constantly trying to get his attention. Jason had that natural charm that made people believe he was important, even when they knew nothing about him. Chloe was no exception. Even though she was dating Ethan, her attention often drifted toward Jason. It wasn't obvious at first, but Ethan noticed the little things. The way she fixed her hair when Jason walked by. The way her tone changed when she mentioned his name. The way she laughed a little louder at his jokes. One afternoon, while they were sitting together, Chloe said something that stuck with Ethan. "You know, you could be more confident. Like Jason." She said it casually, without thinking much of it. But to Ethan, it felt like a comparison he didn't win. He smiled it off, pretending it didn't bother him. But deep inside, something shifted. A quiet question formed in his mind, one he couldn't ignore anymore. Was Chloe really with him because she cared, or because she hadn't found someone better yet? That question stayed in Ethan's mind until he finally decided to find the answer. The next day, he brought his luxury sports car near the school, something he had never done before. It was sleek, expensive, and impossible to ignore. He parked it in a visible spot where students would definitely notice it. But instead of standing near it, Ethan walked away and positioned himself at a distance, hidden from direct view. He wanted to observe, not interfere. Within minutes, the car started attracting attention. Students gathered around it, whispering, taking pictures, trying to guess who it belonged to. Then Jason arrived. He stopped near the car, looked at it with interest, and without saying much, people began assuming it was his. It was almost automatic. His presence alone made it believable. And then Chloe showed up. Ethan watched closely as she approached Jason, her eyes lighting up the moment she saw the car. Her entire body language changed. She looked excited, impressed, drawn in. She stood beside Jason, talking to him, smiling more than usual. Ethan felt his chest tighten. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. This was the beginning of an answer he wasn't sure he was ready to hear. Chloe leaned slightly against the car, running her fingers along its surface as if she already believed it belonged to Jason. "This is incredible," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "I didn't know you had something like this." Jason didn't correct her. He simply smiled, enjoying the moment. That silence was enough to confirm her assumption. Ethan watched from a distance, his heartbeat growing heavier with each passing second. He wanted to step in. He wanted to stop it. But something held him back, the need to see the truth, no matter how painful it might be. Chloe moved closer to Jason. Too close. She looked into his eyes, her expression soft, almost dreamy. And then, without hesitation, she kissed him. Everything froze. For Ethan, it felt like time had completely stopped. The noise of the school faded away. The crowd, the voices, the movement, none of it mattered anymore. All he could see was that one moment. The girl he trusted, choosing someone else. Not because of love, but because of what she believed he had. And in that exact moment, something inside Ethan changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, but permanently. The kiss ended, but the silence that followed was even louder. Jason looked slightly amused, clearly enjoying the attention he was receiving. Chloe smiled, thinking she had just stepped closer to someone more valuable. Then Jason spoke. "Wait, this isn't my car." The words were casual, almost careless, but their impact was immediate. Chloe's smile vanished. "What?" she asked, confused. Jason shrugged. "Yeah, I don't know whose it is, but it's not mine." The atmosphere shifted instantly. Chloe stepped back, her mind racing as she tried to process what she had just heard. If the car wasn't Jason's, then whose was it? That's when Ethan stepped forward. Slow, calm, controlled. He pulled out his key fob and pressed the button. The car lights flashed. The doors unlocked with a sharp click that echoed louder than any voice. All eyes turned to him. Ethan looked directly at Chloe. "It's mine." No anger, no shouting, just truth. And that was enough to shatter everything. By the next day, the entire school knew. A video of the incident had spread rapidly across social media. Every student had seen it. Chloe kissing Jason beside a car that wasn't his, but Ethan's. The reactions were brutal. Whispers followed Chloe wherever she went. Some students laughed openly. Others pretended not to notice her, which felt even worse. The same people who once admired her now looked at her with judgment. Jason quickly distanced himself. When Chloe tried to talk to him, he brushed her off like it meant nothing. "It was just a moment," he said coldly. But for Chloe, it wasn't just a moment. It was a mistake that cost her everything. Meanwhile, Ethan became someone entirely different in the eyes of the school. The quiet, invisible boy was now the center of attention. People respected him, not just because of the car, but because of how he handled everything, calmly, without drama. And Chloe? She was left behind, facing the consequences of a choice she couldn't undo. Ethan didn't try to show off after that. He didn't suddenly become loud or arrogant. Instead, he simply stopped hiding. His confidence became visible. The way he walked, the way he spoke, the way he carried himself, it all changed. People noticed. Teachers began to recognize his intelligence more openly. Students started approaching him, trying to talk, trying to connect. Some wanted friendship. Others wanted access to his status. But Ethan had already learned something important. Not everyone who approaches you values you. Chloe watched all of this from a distance. Every day, it became harder for her. She realized that Ethan had always been this person, strong, composed, and valuable. He never changed. She just never saw him clearly. Eventually, Chloe couldn't take it anymore. She approached Ethan one afternoon while he was sitting alone. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice soft and uncertain. Ethan looked up briefly. "Go ahead." Tears formed in her eyes. "I made a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen like that." Ethan stood up slowly. "You thought it was his car," he said calmly. She nodded, unable to deny it. There was a pause. Then Ethan spoke again. "You didn't make a mistake, you made a choice." Those words hit harder than anything else. Because deep down, she knew he was right. At a school event, Ethan was unexpectedly called on stage. The room quieted as he stood there, facing the same crowd that once ignored him. "People judge too quickly," he began. "They look at what's visible, money, appearance, popularity." He paused. "But the truth is, the most valuable things aren't always obvious." The room listened in complete silence. "And sometimes, the people you overlook are the ones you shouldn't." His voice was calm, but powerful. When he finished, the applause wasn't just loud, it was genuine. That evening, Ethan walked to his car under the soft glow of the setting sun. This time, there was no hiding, no pretending. He unlocked the door, sat inside, and took a quiet breath. In the distance, Chloe stood watching. She didn't move. She didn't speak. Because she already knew. Some chances don't come back. Ethan started the engine and drove away, not in anger, not in sadness, but in clarity. He wasn't invisible anymore. He was free.